Welcome, everybody. We're continuing on with the World Sanskrit Day celebration this morning and this afternoon. I'd like to start with all of us oming 3 times together. Om. Om. So I will lead you with each line of the 3 invocations. I'll chant it, and then you repeat with me. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Together. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Namo Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Gurave Namaha. Om. So let's just take a moment to feel that. So I thought today we would go through a day in the life of studying with Guruji. A little bit here, a little bit there. Collage, you could say, of various things that he would do with us. The first thing I want to do is read, and you probably have heard this before, but I think it's from his Nada Yoga book, which if you haven't read it, it's really worthwhile to read it, and just a short excerpt of it. Outer music, or outer nada, is expressed in 3 forms: instrumental, vocal, and dance. All 3 forms are created. Each needs to be produced by means of either an outer instrument, the vocal cords, or the human body. Therefore, these are called ahata nada, meaning that which is produced using some instrument. Inner nada is the inner music, the inner current, the inner light, the inner dance. This music is uncreated, uncaused. It is referred to as the anahata nada. Un in Sanskrit meaning not, and ahata meaning played by instrument. In other words, this is music without either a material instrument or a human player. It is spontaneous, self-existent, and self-evident. Anahata nada is the unstruck sound, the sound of silence, the sound of the void. You can hear it, but you cannot tell what it is. You cannot miss it, but you cannot make any sense of it. It is that which transforms the world of the senses back into the cosmos of pure energy. And it's my personal opinion that Guruji brought us the Sanskrit language as a tool for meditation, and also for some reason Sanskrit has a special connection with the beyond. And we don't know why. As he said here, we don't understand it. But if you study Sanskrit a little bit and then more and more, gradually you will begin to get a sense of hearing that inner music, that inner nada. And what he was referring to there as struck and unstruck, if I tap my water bottle, it makes that sound. If I tap the floor, it makes that sound. That's the struck sound. The inner sound, the inner vibration of electromagnetic energy has no cause. Nobody is striking it. It's eternal and forever. It was there when we were born. It's going to be there and probably go with us when we go on. So the Sanskrit language was very important in the daily teaching of Sri Brahmananda Saraswati. He would often refer to Sanskrit as the science of vibration, that which can wire the Sanskrit can rewire the brain. The physics of the mouth is what Sanskrit's all about. And the sandhi that involves Sanskrit, the end of one word bumping into the very beginning of the next word, makes the language sound so beautiful. As beautiful as it can get with the human, being the human player that we are. In the 70s, Guruji would sit with us for hours at a time. We would have meditation at 9 or 8 in the morning for an hour, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 hours of Sanskrit grammar, non-stop. And every hour or so, he would say, stop and forget everything we just learned. I want you to feel what we just learned. So he was always making the connection of the special vibration of Sanskrit with that anahatanadam. Sit and feel that, sit and feel that. We went back and forth for years, training in this, learning the vocabulary, chanting the verbs, chanting the nouns, and then forgetting it for the time being, and then going back for another hour or two, and chanting the nouns and learning the grammar on and on. And I don't know about everybody else who was there with him at that time, but I had no clue what he was trying to do. some odd years later, I'm beginning to get a sense of what he intended. The beginning of the World Sanskrit Day celebration, my furthest memory back would be in the mid-2000s, I think. Indra and I were in Dr. Sharma's home in Delhi, and he happened to be presenting his Mandakini poetry group that day, or while we were there. So he probably had 12 or 15 people in the room of all ages, of all skills with Sanskrit, but they were all there to share their love with Sanskrit. And something began to percolate with me at that time, like, how wonderful is this Sanskrit to pull community together. So here we are sitting in the same room together, and you can feel the love of this Sanskrit language. Everybody's at a different place. Some of us know much less than others. Who cares? We had before COVID, we were having some Panini classes in our home. And we would have 10 or 8 or 9 or 7 or 6 people for the class. And some people zoomed in. And at the end of one of the class, Indra said, how does this feel to you? And several people said, I didn't understand a thing, but it feels so good. So here we are, sitting in that, what Guruji really intended us to do is feel that vibration, feel that goodness of the language. So let's put up the verb chart. And we're going to take the verb nam to salute. You all know this verb. Nam to salute means to salute or bow. We all know namaste. It's become high stream in our culture here. The verb there that brought namaste is nam, to bow or to salute. And te is a pronoun meaning for you. And we don't think of it as 2 words. We just think of namaste, hello, how are you? But there's a sandhi there that changes the namaha with visarga at the end. Special sandhi rule that says when visarga, the H with the dot under it in English, or the colon in Devanagari, when visarga is preceded by a short and followed by a dental ta in this case, the visarga is going to be replaced by a dental sa. Makes sense. Keep the tongue in the same part of the mouth. So instead of namaha te, which sounds okay, namaste makes it so fluid. The physics of the mouth takes over. And I don't think anybody created this language. I think it came down from the heavens. The heavens felt there must be a language of unity. Guruji talks about this, the language of the heart. And I think we're all so lucky to have a connection with it. So I will lead you With num, we're going to go right through all the 5 tenses like he would. Not only would he take us all through the 5 tenses, he would say, let's do this in one breath. So he was bringing pranayama, the voice, the special voice that we're talking about for years now, including with our brain work, the visual of paying attention, the discipline of making sure you stay with the program. I will lead each line, and we're going to go right through the present tense, starting with the present tense. Namati, namata, namanti, namati, namata, namanti, namasi, namata, namata, namasi, namata, namata, namami, namavaha, namamaha, namami, namavaha, namamaha. Remember, Sanskrit's the language of sound. So we're going to I'm going to overemphasize the long vowels and try and underestimate the short ones so we really get the contrast. In the imperfect tense, in the past tense, Sanskrit cares dearly about reminding you when we're not present. So in the past tense, we're going to add an before the num verbal root. And then we're going to add the ending. So it's going to sound something like this. Anamat, anamatam, anaman. And it takes a little bit of getting used to it to add that but when you get used to it, it's cosmic. I'll lead it. Anamat, anamatam, anaman, anamat, anamatam, anaman, anama, anamatam, anamata, anama, anamatam, anamata, anamam, anamava, anamama, anamam, anavava, anamama. In the imperative, like you must or may you. In the third person singular, there's an alternate, a tu or a tat. And in the second person singular, there's also an alternate. I don't know why there's alternates only in this location in the imperative, but here we are. Namatu, namatat, namatam, namantu, namatu, namatat, namatam, namantu, nama, namatat, namatam, namata, namatat, namatam, namata, namani, namava, namama, namami, namava, namama. Let's feel that for a moment. And now let's continue on with the potential should, could salute, maybe, but not for sure. I don't know what I'm looking at here. This isn't the chart that I was. Namet, nametam, nameyu, name, nametam, nameyu, name, nametam, nameta, name, nametam, nameta, nameam, nameva, namema, nameam, nameva, namema. Now again in the future, because it's not the present, Sanskrit wants to remind us that we're not in the present anymore. So you see the endings there begin with a dental sa when they're all by themselves. So syat, let's do that. I'll lead that without any prefix at all. Syati, syata, syanti, syati, syata, syanti, syasi, syataha, syata, syasi, syataha, syata, syami, syavaha, syamaha, syami, syavaha, syamaha. In the future, the specific rule is to put a short E in front of those dental, the endings, syati, syata, syanti. We're going to put a short E. The short E and the long E, they're palatal letters. They have the power to turn that dental sa into a cerebral sha. So they have the power to change it from a dental s sound to a dental sha sound, the cerebral sound. Doesn't quite have the power to bring it all the way back to the palate, but enough to get it further back in the mouth. But this changes, actually. Num has a specific future change to it. It's not going to add that E. It's just going to simply be nunciati, nunciata. It's going to create a nasal there instead. So I'll lead it. Nunciati, nunciata, nuncianti, nunciati, nunciata, nuncianti, nunciasi, nunciata, nunciata, nunciasi, nunciata, nunciata, nunciami, nunciava, nunciama, nunciami, nunciava, nunciama. Let's feel that for a moment. If it was the word gum, to go, the verb gum, it's also irregular, but in the future, gum would become gamishyati. You would add that short E in that case. So let's take gamishyati in the future. Gamishyati, gamishyata, gamishyanti, gamishyati, gamishyata, gamishyanti, gamishyasi, gamishyata, gamishyata, Gamishyasi, Gamishyata, Gamishyata, Gamishyami, Gamishyava, Gamishyama, Gamishyami, Gamishyava, Gamishyama. You can tell if you would not make that a cerebral sibilant, saying Gamishyati is kind of difficult. The physics of the mouth starts directing us. Even if we didn't know the rule, we'd feel something's wrong. So Gamishyati feels just perfect, as good as it can get. Does anybody have any question about anything? And if you're completely lost, that's the best. But are there any questions about anything yet? So we're here really just to feel that electromagnetic vibration of this very special language that Guruji spent his life teaching us. Must have been some reason why he took all that time. He could have been out in the world doing anything he wanted, and he took the time to just stay at the San Francisco ashram for the most part, and this ashram here for the most part. Let's go to the alphabet. If you would bring that up. No rush. And I told you we probably wouldn't use it. All right, so the vowel chart at the very top, we have a short and a long They go together. They're twins. Short I, the I. Short I and long E. Short U and long U. Then there's like the trilled Spanish R, short one, and the long one, R. And then the L with the lr, the short one, and the longer one, lr. And then A, I, O, and ow are the all long on the bottom row. They're all diphthongs. So when you're chanting, speaking, spelling Sanskrit, you want to keep the long vowels long and the short vowels short. We've been learning all weekend about how the meter is set up with any mantra, or any speech is set up with any word. So I'm going to lead you. I'm going to leave out the r, the lr, because it's just too tangled up there. I, e, u, I, u, I, u, I, u, AI, o, ow, A, I, O, A, I, O, ow, aha. Let's just roll through this together, both lines. I, U. A, I, O, ow, again. U. A, I, O, ow, again. U. A, I, O, ow, one more time. U. A, I, O, ow, Let's feel that for a moment. We're just chanting these bij mantra-like vowels, and they're so powerful. So people ask me all the time, I'm too old to start studying Sanskrit. And I just say, go to the vowel chart and just stay there. You don't need any more. They're like bij, they're like seeds that will grow in you. That's all you need. And then maybe you won't be able to stop after you spend some time there. You might need to go on. You might need to investigate the alphabet. You might want to know more about verbs and nouns. Guruji used to do a short mantra with us. Turiyam eva kevalam. Turiyam, beyond. Turiyam eva kevalam. Turiyam eva kevalam. I think he put this together because it flows so beautifully and it's so powerful. It essentially means turiya, the fourth state, beyond the body and mind. So I'll lead you the first couple of rounds, and then we're going to all do it together for a while. Turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, together. Turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, together. Turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam. Again, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam, turiyameva kevalam. Let's feel that for a moment. So as we're going through this short amount of time, pay attention to the nadam if you might hear it. And if you do, just stay with it, even while we're doing any of this. Let's shake out the hands. And again, remember, if you have trouble with your palms or fingertips or arms, don't do this. What we're doing, we're bringing the blood to the palms and fingertips, where perhaps there's more nerve endings than maybe in any other part of the body. And then let the palms face each other a comfortable distance apart. Be aware of that electromagnetic energy. We brought the blood to the palms and fingertips. The blood is carrying the prana, the life force for us to experience here. Keeping the left palm still, move the right palm very slowly toward and away, whatever feels comfortable. Just let yourself go into that electromagnetic energy. And then keeping the right palm still, and slowly move the left palm slowly toward and away from the right. and then slowly moving both palms toward and away from each other. And then when you're comfortable, just bring your palms down to your lap and continue to feel that. So this electromagnetic energy that we could feel between our palms, and that anahatanadam that we can hear in our ears if we're carefully listening, and the Sanskrit grammar are all connected. And we don't know why. Like Guruji said in the book, we have no clue why. But it's powerful. And why bother with the anahatanadam? Because that's where all the answers come from. Everything that we know came from the stream of consciousness. Every question you might have about yourself, if it's important enough for you, it will come to you, and the mind cannot bring you those answers. This is what Guruji set us up with, to have another tool for living in our world. Any questions about anything at all? Yeah. He said, it's not going to eliminate your problems, but it's going to give you a tool to use especially when they're challenging. And better yet, when they're not challenging. Just keep working on it. Bhartri Hari has a verse, one of my favorite verses. I did not prepare it for here. But basically he says, when we're young and we feel great and the energy's moving freely in the body, that's the time we should practice meditation. Instead of when we get old and we're too burned out, we have too many pains and aches. To start learning to meditate then, very challenging. And he refers to the man is on his dying bed and he's now starting to take the medication. That would help him if he was 50, 60 years younger. And likewise, Bhartri Hari, the other part of this verse is the man is just starting to dig the well to get the water, to put a fire out, but his house is already burned down. And I love these two suggestions because they tell us so much. Why do we wait? And we all do. We all put things off. But to try not to, and to try to develop your meditation. And if you're older and just getting in tune with meditation, great. No time like the present. Start now. Don't wait, because later it will get harder. Guruji brought us this. We were so blessed to sit with him for decades. Over and over, the same thing. I'm thinking, why does he keep doing the same thing? He was just bringing us discipline. And the Sanskrit, as we all know, has so many layers to it that I believe the discipline needed for even a little bit of Sanskrit study will translate to our meditation. Meditation, listening to that anahatanadam. Because you'll hear it and say, oh, this is boring. But the Sanskrit will already have provided some help for you to go sit, listen. So, you have these little red headsets around the room. I don't think there was enough for everybody. Indra gave me a hard time for traveling with the ones I brought. What we'll do, actually, we'll use them twice, and that way, the second time around. So don't worry about changing them now. We'll do it a second time as well. So let's put the headset, and if you don't have a headset, just cover your ears. The headset is even better because it really closes out. And when you put a conch shell up to your ear, you hear the ocean, you hear the whole world vibrating. This is a simulation of that. So let's put the headset on and just for a minute or two listen. So let's take them off, and I'd like to go around the room and hear from people about what your experience was. We can just start on this side and move around. If you don't feel like saying anything, that's fine, but what you say might help somebody else. Dharma, why don't you go first? Yeah, we can pass the mic. Thank you, Seth.
What sounds like people often label it as tinnitus, so a gentle ringing starts to emerge.
Yeah, thank you for that. Actually, it's a reminder. People used to come to the ashram all the time, and Guruji was a neurosurgeon, so people would be attracted to him, and not many times people would come and say, "Can you recommend a surgeon to take my tinnitus away?" And Guruji would laugh. Not to say there can't be problems with the ears. It's a very well thought of thing in Ayurveda that we can have ear problems. But Guruji knew when this person would have an ear problem or it was just nadam ringing in their ears. So many times Guruji just told the person, do not have surgery. You cannot get rid of what you're complaining about. Just come to the ashram. You can make a donation or not. Just sit here as many times as you want, and you will get the answer for that sound in your ears. Pretty advanced science he was giving us. Science that you cannot get with the mind. The mind, hopefully, by the Sanskrit work, can elevate our mind well enough so that we're attracted over to the Yameva Kevalam, so that we can sit there and get the answers from that side, which the mind cannot give us directly. Okay, let's keep going. And if you don't have anything to say, just pass, no problem.
I hear the sound.
Keep it real close and talk real loud.
I hear the sound, like crickets. It starts, and the more I listen into it, the more it opens up and is more orchestral, and a sense of being enveloped by it, like protected, and breathing into it in a way where it's breathing me and just relaxing into it, and my shoulders dropping.
Oh, well, cool. Yeah, I've heard from many students when we talk about it, they say, you know, it sounds like thousands of crickets on a warm summer night on the East Coast. There's crickets everywhere, but I was listening to them outside last night. They're amazing here. But the nadam can sound just like that. And it's not the same for everybody. And it can be crickets today. And I used to be a general contractor working with these really powerful power tools. The table saw, I would do some cutting of the wood, and then I would stop the table saw, and the nadam would be just blowing me away. And then I realized I had to get a nice comfortable chair in the wood shop so that after I use some of the tools, I go sit and listen. This is Guruji's training. Go sit and listen. Let's keep going around to whoever. Just a minute or two. Don't go on too much. Yeah.
Arrived on the ashram, I would constantly hear noise, like a tinnitus, really loud, different frequencies, interrupting my thoughts, my actions, and then eventually I got used to the sound. But it was never pleasant. It was always, jarring.
Mm-hmm.
And after mantra and after Sanskrit, I believe it's the Sanskrit, it went away completely. So now I'm at a place where I want to hear something. I figure it will come back, but at least it went and stopped the disharmony that was going through. And I think Guruji had said something, if the noise gets loud and it doesn't, resonate with you in a flowing way, that it's a disharmony going on somewhere. So at least that's calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, and I think if you do have trouble with your ears, the nadam can sound funky. And it might sound like, well, this is not good for me. That I get completely.
I don't feel like it was in my ears. I feel like it was in here, because I've had my ears checked out, no tinnitus. I think, it's good. And then when I put these on, it, even for that short time, it was easier to drop into that space of silence because you don't feel the movement and the sound as much. So that was actually pretty fun.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you would just take it around, only give it to anybody who raises their hand. And take it to anybody who raises their hand, yeah.
Hi, just, I guess a different space, like a dimension that isn't here, opens up inside of you. And then also you're in a different time. So
That's cool. That's neat, yeah.
I used to do graduate work in Lawrence, Kansas, where there's lots of blues music, Muddy Waters, I can't think of all the names of the bands, but they would come to our opera house, quote unquote, where you could boogie. And I loved to go dance to the blues music, but the microphones were really blasting the music. And what I found is after being in that house theater, listening, dancing, I'd leave and my ears would be ringing from that sound, acoustic sound. And of course, eventually it would pass. But now, that same ringing that I would get then, it's constant. It's like I'm just being bombarded. And I'm half wondering, is it because I did a little ear damage? Because I was too, what is it? I do have a little bit of hearing loss, but the ringing sound is like, oh my goodness. So I'm so grateful to know about nadam, because otherwise I really would think, okay, now I have to address this. And instead, I'm listening, and I realize even if I lose my hearing, because I have hearing loss, don't know how bad it's going to get, but this sound, I bet, will not leave. So I'll never be totally without sound as long as I have the nadam sound. So.
Yeah, I really feel like you could be completely deaf.
And you'll hear.
The 8-year-old boy was mute.
Yeah, that's right.
And
the other thing is I feel like it's also a portal, that if I really can focus in, it does, it's got a little trick to it.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Was somebody over here?
Thank you. So I didn't hear any sound whatsoever, but it did intensify and feel what I usually feel during deep meditation.
Wonderful.
I think I noticed that, you can close your eyes, and also you can sometimes close your nose, but you never really close your ears. And it was a great magical experience because all of a sudden, you just know what quiet feels like. And it's magical.
Cool. Yeah, there's the pranayama, I forget, what is it called? The B or something? Pardon? Yeah, where you close the eyes, you close the nose, and you close the mouth. And it's, I think, probably for the same intention.
I feel that actually when I put these on, there was tide and ebb, probably my breath or whatever moves inside. But when I'm without it, and I usually do have it now, and in meditation, I didn't know how to define it, but now people talk about crickets, and that's what I hear all the time. I call it for myself sound. It's a sound of silence, but I don't know, maybe it's ear kind of some distortion that I hear it now.
Yeah, wonderful.
Would it be fair to think of listening to Nadam as an investment? Even if I do just maybe a little bit, maybe in 40 or 50 years from now, I'll really start to see the returns?
Matt, I think that's a really cool question. Guruji used to say that every Sanskrit sound you make, or you could say every bit of nadam that you hear goes into your, he would call it your Sanskrit bank account. And as that builds and builds, I think what he's getting at is that it's going to be related to the nadam becoming more, not just louder, but maybe more important to you in some way and somehow, and we don't know why. But this came from India. In our culture, we don't, all we get in this culture is tinnitus, and you better go have it looked at. And it could be that we have ear problems, no doubt, but we can't confuse the nadam part because Western medicine will make us crazy with that. And Guruji would say, don't, he would know who's got an ear problem and who didn't. He would say, don't have that operated on. You're talking about nadam, you cannot change it. Thank you for the feedback, wonderful. So let's go into the noun world. Masculine noun in a. No, let's start with, we should start, the high level of gender in this room is what? Absolutely. Let's go to feminine noun long a. And we're going to just chant, I'll lead you in the endings. And then we're going to take mala, which is a feminine noun in long a, meaning what? What does mala mean? Garland. A, together. A. Hear those sounds, they are so powerful. A, aya, abhyam, abhi, aya, abhyam, abhi, aya, abhyam, abhi, aya, abhyam, abhi, ayai, abhyam, abhyah, ayai, abhyam, abhyah, ayai, abhyam, abhyah, ayai, abhyam, abhyah, ayah, 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 ayo, anam, ayah, ayo, anam, ayah, ayo, anam, ayah, ayo, anam, ayam, ayo, asu, ayam, ayo, asu, ayam, ayo, asu, ayam, ayo, asu, a ah, a ah, a ah, a ah. Let's feel that for a moment. So that H with the dot that you see so often here, like in the Naman, the first line on the right side, you can either say that with extra air coming out, or you can echo the vowel right in front of it and make it aha. Or in the third from the last line in the middle, it can be ayo or ayoho, which I think is so cool. You can just echo that vowel that's right there. Either way is fine. It's part of the Sandhi part of the Visarga pronunciation. So let's take mala. I'll lead you. Feminine noun long a. Mala, male, mala, mala, male, mala, mala, male, mala, mala, male, mala, malam, male, malaha, malam, male, malaha, malam, male, malaha, malam, male, malaha, malaya, malaya, malabhyam, malabhyam, malabihi, malabihi, malayai, malayai, malabhyam, malabhyam, malabhya, malabhya, malava, malayaha, malayaha, malabhyam, malabhyam, malabhya, malabhya, malayaha, malayaha, malayoho, malayoho, malanam, malanam, malayam, malayam, malayoho, malayoho, malasu, malasu, male, male, malaha, male, male, malaha, male, male, malaha, male, mala, malaha. Let's feel that for a moment. So I promise you, if you just chant these feminine nouns in long ah all the way through, you're sitting quietly by yourself perhaps, and you chant them all the way through, just the endings, ah, a, aha, a, aha, 3 or 4 times, all of it. And then just sit for a minute. I promise you, you'll be changed. If you're not changed, call me. We'll have a one-on-one Zoom class. It will. It's so powerful. It's so cool. And the biggest obstacle we all have for learning is getting out of the way, letting go, letting the Sanskrit be in charge. We want to always be in charge of everything. It makes it much harder for us to do. Any questions about this? The first line is all subject. Sanskrit cares dearly about singular, dual, and plural. So when we say the top line mala, it means one mala as the subject of the sentence. If we say male in the top line in the middle, it's 2 malas are the subject. And if we say malaha, the right side of that top line, it's many malas are the subject, and so on and so forth. The second line is all direct object. Third line, instrumental with, by, due to. So if you say malaya, with the mala, something. So if you, in the sentence, you say, with the mala I go to school, you would say malaya, and then on and on. Malayai, that fourth line is always for either Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, fourth line in the masculine in a. That's where we get the Aya for Ganesha. So when we're looking at subjects and nouns and the noun world, the first thing you have to know, you will build the vocabulary. And you want to know what's the gender of the noun and what is the ending of it. So in the upper left-hand corner quadrant, we see aha in the upper left quadrant. So that's where Ganesha would start. And then if we want to salute Ganesha, we go down to the fourth line, and that's where it becomes Ganeshaya. If we go over to feminine nouns in long E, the second line all the way on the right. Do we have that there? Yeah. Go to feminine short E, second line all the way on the right. I'm sorry, long E. Yeah? So this is where Sarasvati would be found. And the nominative singular will always show you how that noun will be found in the dictionary. So if we want Sarasvati as a subject, it'll be the upper left corner of that quadrant. Sarasvati. If we want to say, I see Saraswati, she would become Sarasvatim, accusative singular. If I want to say, I go with Saraswati, third line down, Sarasvatya. And if I want to salute Saraswati, Sarasvatyai, the fourth line down. So in those three invocations, we had Ganesha, and we went to our chart, and we came down 4 lines, and we found the Ganeshaya. And then we had Saraswati. We go to the feminine chart in long E, come down in the singular row, and she becomes Sarasvatyai. And then can you go to masculine noun in U? Middle of the second line. So to find how to salute the guru, the teacher, the upper left is guru, which would be the subject. Come down, how many lines? 4. And there's your ave, gurave. So it's kind of like an Easter egg hunt, the whole language. Let's find the noun, let's go match what part of the sentence we want it to be, we want to find it in. It's all here. This one sheet, you're set for life. We've been using this sheet since the 70s. And I think Bharti actually made it originally. Right here in this room, this person. And we're still using it. Pardon? In the main house, yes. In the main house for sure, right over here, where we're all going every day almost. Wonderful. Any questions about this amazing language?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I just would like to say that I'm talking to my...
Closer and louder.
Thank you. So during Krishna Devi's Sanskrit class, we chant the entire sheet with just the endings, the whole thing, and then we chant it using the words. And she says that Guru said that it was this chart was is the washing machine for the mind. And by the time we get through the whole thing, there's not a single person in the room that isn't sitting in the Nadam for sure, 100%. It's really powerful. Mm-hmm. I also suggest that everybody does it as often as possible.
Yeah, when we do these all-day Sanskrit chanting retreats at Green Gulch in California before COVID, we would chant nouns and verbs and mantras all day long. And people would come up to us afterwards and say, how am I supposed to get home? I can't drive in this condition. So we tell them, stay for dinner. There's the dining hall right there. Or we'd walk through the gardens. So it's really powerful. And I think it's more powerful perhaps in a group, because building community around all of this is like, what's going on with me? I'm having a hard time. We can help each other through it, through whatever is coming up. And Guruji was like psychologist for us, marriage counselor for us, Sanskrit scholar for us, amazing scientist for us, all rolled up in this one amazing being. Let's just do the masculine nouns in endings, and then we're going to finish. 12:15, right? Is when we end. Let's just do the masculine nouns in And you must return those headsets. You cannot keep them. Otherwise, you're going to get a... yeah, right. She does not want me traveling with them. If you keep it, you're going to get a credit card charge on your visa. Don't worry. Tell me when you're ready. Okay. Ow, ah, ow, ah, ow, ah, ow, ah, ow, on, ow, on, ow, on, ow, on, ena, abhyam, I, hi, ena, abhyam, I, hi, ena, abhyam, I, ena, abhyam, I, abhyam, ebya, aya, abhyam, ebya, aya, abhyam, ebya, aya, abhyam, ebya, At abhyam ebhya, at abhyam ebhya, at abhyam ebhya, at abhyam ebhya, asya ayoho anam, asya ayoho anam, asya ayoho anam, asya ayoho anam, e ayoho eshu, e ayoho eshu, e ayoho eshu, e ayoho eshu, al aha, 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 al aha. So you can even feel from your stomach coming up through your vocal cords into your mouth. All of these sounds they're placed perfectly for us. Let's finish up with 3 ohms together. Oh? Huh? All through? Masculine noun and all the way through. Okay. Let's just go together, no leading. Rama, 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 Ramam, Ramau, Raman, Ramena, Ramabhyam, Ramai, Ramaya, Ramabhyam, Ramebhya, Ramat, Ramabhyam, Ramebhya, Ramasya, Ramayo, Ramanam, Rame, Ramayo, Rameshu, Rama, Ramau, Rama, Rama, Ramau, Ramaha, Rama, Ramau, Ramaha. Om. Thank you all so much for bearing with this. We have lunch at 12:30, and then this afternoon we have Patty will bring us the mighty Upasargas, which might win the contest for the greatest title of the whole weekend. And then Indra will present her part in the second half of the afternoon. Thank you so much.